I blacked out. In my unconsciousness, my mind went to dark places. I was reminded of why the Melissa Lee case was so important to me. In my feverish coma dream, I was in a place I didn't want to be. There I was, though. There again, at the place that had been on my mind all goddamn day. I was sitting in the room with a corpse, cleaning my tools. If you want me to sugarcoat it, I won't. When you torture someone trained to resist torture, enough to get information out of them that you need, they do not tend to survive. And once you've tortured them to that point, it's kinder to just kill them. In my defense, he was a bastard. As far as our intelligence and the intelligence of the Venezuelan military and their secret service suggested, he'd killed a hell of a lot of innocent people in the name of his rebellion. More than a few of them children. Women, children, innocents, people who didn't need to die. In even more fairness, we needed the information badly. We'd gotten some intel suggesting the rebels were planning an assault on the capital. Considering the war had gone shitty for everyone universally, taking things to the biggest goddamn city promised an ocean of blood, most of it innocent. A lot of people were going to get hurt, and the rebels, by all accounts, they generally didn't mind civilian casualties when necessary. He told me about their primary staging point, where their massive weapons stockpile was currently located. He told me they'd managed to stay hidden by a simple method: take the children from an entire town, so they could use the town without them calling in the military. Apparently, it had solid access to roads and waterways, and a low native military presence, and several of the military folks in that area were on the rebel side already, without people knowing. They were, double agents. You really should have told me sooner, I muttered, finishing cleaning my flincing knife and slipping it back into its sheath. He didn't answer on account of being dead. When people who are dead start talking to you, either you got a zombie problem, or you should probably be on some pills. I'd informed command of the situation and requested they send in some people in stealth to infiltrate the town, get the kids, and defend them when we launched the primary attack after evacuating what civilians were possible. I wasn't expecting my sat phone to go off while I stared at what I had done to that man with a cold, empty satisfaction. I answered it. Frank, Jesus, they're rolling on the town. I know, in a week or two, give or take. I answered. No, they got word the rebels accelerated their plans from somewhere. At least that's what command says. Frank, as far as I can tell, they made that the fuck up. I've got no records of this evidence, my friend muttered. He and we'd agreed about 4 years prior to start gathering evidence on the many international crimes and war crimes the PMC we worked for had committed. By that point, we were practically a spy organization for hire. We, me and my friend, were planning to blow some whistles, get a fuckload of people in trouble, and tear the PMC apart. I didn't know. Hey, you gotta understand when I tell you this. I didn't know they'd go that far. I knew they were evil bastards. I didn't know they'd go that far. But they can't. They can't just go in. They got kids hostage and military on payroll. If they roll the town, it'll be a goddamn bloodbath, I said, heart pounding in my chest. It doesn't seem to matter. The government seems to be the ones who generated this fake intel. Everyone's in on it from the top down. They want to crush the rebels now before they can storm the capital or anywhere near it, and they don't care who gets hurt. Government wants to look good and blame all this evil on the rebels, too. He told me in a hushed tone, "Winning the war might be the right thing to do, Frank, but this ain't the right way to do it." Oh my God. I may be an hour and a half away, give or take. I can get there. I can do something. Try. God, Frank, try. I can't live with this evil on my head, man. I can't. The unconscious fever dream, it went fast and hard all of a sudden. I remembered riding in a truck that bounced around a lot. I remembered driving off the road when I saw smoke rising against the horizon. I remembered the cold, aching dread and the hatred of everything and myself as I realized I was well and truly too late. I parked. I got out. I stalked the trees. I found my way to the edge of the small town with my camera bag close by. I saw it. I saw the town, the death, the military, the PMC. I saw them doing what they did at the end of anything big like that. They were cleaning up and prepping for PR. I took pictures as they dressed a few darker-skinned folks from our PMC in rebel uniforms, lined them up near a crowd of cowering, sobbing civilians. I didn't see any kids there. I watched them set up and film the scene from a distance, keeping only the civvies and the rebel-uniformed guys in frame. I took pictures as they fired, as the civilians fell, as people that I had once called comrades disrobed and put their regular uniforms back on, framing the rebels for the murder of possibly innocent people. I took hundreds of pictures, thousands maybe, stalking through the trees and keeping hidden, using the long-distance lens, making sure I got clear photos. When all was said and done, I just stood there in the dark, staring at the scene until I couldn't take it anymore. I climbed my way up a tree to get a better angle on things and stared down at the town through my camera. God, I saw them. I saw the kids. I saw what they did. The kids with their little twisted fear faces dead near where they shot the civvies. I took pictures. I went empty inside. I didn't even vomit. My insides just went cold. And I wasn't sure I'd ever feel anything again. I failed and I was too late. And that was on me. I had to live with that. And if I was too late again, it was going to happen to Melissa Lee, too. I couldn't fail again in such a similar situation. Not again. I woke up with a soft feminine hand on my forehead, throat raw from screaming. Like a terrified child woken from a nightmare, I rolled away from Lexa, putting my back against something solid, and I dropped onto my hands and knees, gagging. Frank, She trailed off. I didn't answer. I just shuddered and stared at my hands, and then I closed my eyes. Frank, I didn't know ripping the veil off would bring up something horrible. It must have already been on your mind. I'm sorry. A hottie stood there looking uncomfortable. I still didn't answer. I just opened my eyes, stared at my fingers, and tried to stuff that back down into the box I kept it in, so I didn't sink neck deep into alcoholism. I need to save this girl, Lexa, I rasped. She's alone. She's surrounded by evil on all sides. This feels like something I'm meant to do. Frank, what happened to you? Miss, I have to ask you to stop right now. Mr. Ahadi said, interrupting her. You do not fully understand what this man is going through right now, and I don't either, but I recognize that look, the regret and obsession when I see it, and you need to stop asking because it will do none of us good. Especially him. Pardon me for the intrusion, ma'am. I looked up at him, some part of me grateful. He simply stared at Lexa, who was staring at him in surprise. As you wish, Ahadi. I'll let him be. How long was I out? It is 9:51. Lexa answered, quiet. Time. I'd lost so much time. She rested her hand on my shoulder. I didn't even notice her moving because I was giving up. Something had snapped inside of me. The world was sharp and clear. Magic was real. I was a psychic. My father lied to me. One of my parents must not have been human. I was going up against sorcerers. The ritual was real. So many events in my past, times when I was well and truly beaten despite my skills and psychic abilities. They were all suddenly logical and organized. Monsters had been involved. Magic had been at play. The veil had deceived me. But I knew, and it would never happen again. But it didn't matter. I'd already lost too much time. I couldn't even get off my knees, despite what I said. I was suddenly filled with fear. My enemy was bigger than me, with access to powers I did not understand and could not counter. They were numerous, and I was just one man. I'd already failed her, failed to save her parents, failed to save the street kids. I'd failed. I can't do it, Lexa. I can't do it. Jesus, I can't. She asked me softly what I meant. I wasn't even sure I knew. The drugs weren't working, the ones that were supposed to calm me. Nobody said anything, but I knew what they were thinking. It wasn't normal. It wasn't human for the drugs to have so little effect. It also wasn't the time to think about it. I can't, God, Lexa, they have magic. They have a teenage girl. God knows what they've done to her. They've tortured her, torn her teeth out. Maybe worse, they've hurt her, and I don't know if I can do this. I told her, trembling. Fear. Fear is the mind killer, the little death that leads to total obliteration. I don't remember who said that, but I knew the truth right then. It's not fear that's the mind killer. It's being too weak to fight despite your fear. Frank, this isn't what I intended when I revealed to you our world. I wanted you to know what you would be up against. I'm sorry, she told me softly. Fucking sorcerers, fucking monsters. God, they might have monsters. They might have monsters with them. I muttered. Yes, that is true. Is it so different, Frank? So different than what was against you before? I wasn't getting it. I wasn't seeing her point. I just shook my fucking head and trembled like a child. Another failure. Another dead kid. Another family destroyed. Another corpse. Another crack. Frank, she's gonna die. She's gonna die. And it's all your fault. You will fail to save her. You will be the reason she is burnt and her ashes, unnamed, are scattered across a dirty street. You're the reason she will never again feel safe or free, Lexa told me coldly. You're pathetic, Frank Silver. Pathetic and weak. Rage sparked in me. I was on my feet in an instant, my hand around her slender neck and my gun pressed to her temple. Ahadi's gun was pressed to my temple, but Lexa held up her hand and he backed away. That's it. You see, you're angry now, Frank. Maybe you can think a little better. You have clearly fought evil before and lost, but is evil any different? Whether it be humans with magic, or monsters, or just plain humans, or goddamn anything, Frank. Evil is evil, is it not? Send your people for her, then, I spat. I can't. None of them are available. Other innocent lives are in danger tonight. This is a city of more than 15 million people, Frank. For my inability to help, I am sorry, but hear me out. You know what you are up against. A teenage girl, near an adult, a virgin with no parents, is depending on you. Against an ancient backdrop, you would be a rescuing knight. So what are you going to do, Sir Knight? Are you going to let her die? For a few minutes there was raw silence. Her skin was warm beneath my fingers. I could have crushed her spine with an angry jerk. Anger rose in me again. I had a chance to save her, a chance to do something with my evil, vicious killing skills, my monstrous talents. I realized she was right. Melissa didn't deserve to die because of my cowardice. It wasn't her fault that her resources were limited. Lexus. If it was a bad time for the cops, it could have been a bad time for her, too. Focus. That's what I began to build. A powerful, singular, rage-tempered focus. A quiet, patient madness. Driving me forward. I'm going to kill them all and save the girl. I just need to know where to go. Then pull your gun off my head, button up, and go. Stop being a coward. Stop wasting time here and save her. Otherwise, let go of my neck, put your gun in your mouth, and save me the effort of killing a worthless fool. She shouted, voice high and strong and imperious. She drove the nail home. She made her point. I understood what she was doing, and she was right. So I did it, goddammit. I put my gun away and I backed up, putting everything in a box to deal with later. Close my eyes. Breathe in, Melissa Lee. Breathe out. I need to save her. Breathe in. She is not gonna die. Breathe out. But they are. They're gonna all pay. Lexa gave me 1 minute. 1 minute to tear everything else away and leave only my Melissa in my head. Ahadi's men have been tracking down people who worked when your cult leader was here, arrogantly sitting right under our noses. Ahadi's men know where the man goes night by night to do what all rich and powerful men do. She trailed off into a dark chuckle. Ahadi knows where he goes to flaunt his power and wealth. I finished for her. If he's not there, are you going to use your resources to try and track his car? Correct. And according to the voice in my earbud, we have good news for you. Excellent. Go. Go with Ahadi to the secret entrance. If you survive, perhaps we can do business again, Sir Knight. And maybe next time, you'll bring your backbone. I'm not auditioning for your approval, I spat. She laughed behind me. Oh, I'm not asking you to, Frank. But there are fewer of my people than you may think, and this is a very large city. I am always in need of new friends. Now go. Be her knight, sans shining armor. Impress me, Frank Silver. So, goddammit, I went. I went away from the elevator, which was a small mercy. I'm a big guy, and small spaces can be especially small for me, even lavish elevators leading to magic fairy bars. We headed towards a tunnel that had much more flair and decoration around it than the elevator had. The entrance, the primary entrance, I suspected, the one that was commonly used by patrons of the establishment. We passed a few people heading in as we headed out. In fact, I didn't look at them. I focused straight ahead, measured pace, proper posture. Be ready for anything. Ahadi walked ahead of me. I thought about nothing but the girl. That was a skill I developed back in the day, that kind of focus. Something that came to me, something that possessed me. If I thought about everything all at once, I'd have lost my damn mind or been too distracted to focus on the job at hand. The drugs they'd given me started to do a little better, keeping me level, or maybe fear was helping to temper my focus even further. I don't know. Either way, I didn't let it get to me. It was a nice tunnel. The floor had been flattened and polished, the walls were strung with soft lights hidden behind silk veils that parted now and again to reveal glints of silver, blah, 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 same shit, different day. So you can smell the drugs in my blood? I asked. I can, yes, he replied, that vaguely English, vaguely Egyptian accent making itself known again. So you're English now? Or Egyptian? Thought you said you were American. Or is it some mix? The answer to that question is simple, Mr. Silver. I lied to you, and I'm not going to tell you the truth. You didn't pay my superior for that, he answered. I sighed and asked one question. Why? Why lie? Because I enjoy being mysterious, Mr. Silver. You might say it is one of my few remaining pleasures. He paused, pensive. The silence was heavy, and then he added in a plain American accent, Thank you for reminding me. I slipped once. On my accent, you see. Barely passed it off as a joke. Must remember to keep it in place. Silence again. Heavy silence. I got bored quickly. Focus was getting intense, but there's only so much silence I can handle before focus turns into my mind wandering to places that were useless. So you can smell the drugs in my blood. We've covered that. What about the rest of me? Do I smell good? He blinked, glancing back at me with those overly intelligent, calculating eyes. I could see it, finally, see the gold and red that flecked his irises. He wore it openly and made no attempt to hide it. I assume the veil did that work for him. Yes, I guess. Despite your current situation and lack of opportunity to take time for a shower in the last however long, your hygiene appears to be impeccable and your use of cologne is tasteful, if a bit excessive, he replied calmly, looking away. I gotta have good hygiene, man. I'm a big guy. I'm fuzzy. I don't take care of myself. No one's gonna be happy with that, I replied. He scoffed, nodded, and said nothing else. I let the silence hang for just a little while. Instead of doing the same, he broke the silence. I've never seen her react to someone like she reacted to you. She likes you, Mr. Silver. I'd be wary. Why? Is it a bad thing that she likes me? She seemed decent enough, if a little weird and very mostly nude, I answered. He sighed. She is a dangerous, intensely powerful, and vaguely capricious figure, Mr. Silver. I happen to like you as well, for what it is worth, so I must warn you of the dangers of trusting her. She is not human. Not entirely, and she doesn't think like a human. Not entirely. He lit a cigarette and handed it to me, another of the same kind Lexus, smoked, nice-tasting, inexpensive. I took it and he lit his own, adding, I'm not sure she understands the concept of friends, Mr. Silver. Fairies are the way people think demons are, compelled by some natural urge to make deals. She gave me free info down there, no deal. She gave you information to take down competition that could possibly be dangerous if that competition succeeded in its power grab, Mr. Silver. You missed a large portion of the picture. A cold feeling settled in my stomach, appropriate paranoia of Lexinocenia, Auschitha, asserted itself in my head. Several mental notes were made. Yeah, that's a solid, that's a solid point. I'll keep that in mind. We reached another pair of elevators. The doors on one slid open, and two people who looked suspiciously like Lexa stepped out. They stared at me a moment and then smiled. Two males, strong, tall, rough but dignified, street smart, street raised, possibly, but with money and skills. They had killer eyes, too, threatening eyes with mirrored irises and no pupils. I knew the looks they gave me. The flat, opaque looks that tilted their heads down slightly, that adjusted for the light automatically on instinct, shading their eyes, yet enhancing the reflective glint, making them somehow darker and yet brighter, more disturbing. The flat look of a predator. That was the look that made me think maybe a hottie wasn't trying to just protect his employer by scaring me, maybe he was trying to protect me too. Those two men in those suits and ties, they were killers, cold and professional and experienced. That was the look killers picked up after a time, a sort of natural predatory posturing when they know they're around other killers. Not everyone can pull it off, but when a person does, it can break an enemy as surely as a bullet to the kneecap or a few cuts to the right places. The smiles added to the look, showing their teeth, curling the corners of their lips up slightly, cold-blooded predator smiles. Like a snake and a jackal had a happy, hungry, angry, slightly horny child. "Good day, sir," one of them said. Politely, I nodded, making no move to get my hand closer to my gun. I had no doubts they were faster than me, because, they're magic. What do you want from me? I nodded politely, like I said, and returned the look and the smile. Their postures shifted. We sized each other up. They nodded back, one to the other. Well, one then the other. And then they watched as Hadi and I got into the elevator. I didn't like putting my back to them any more than I like putting my back to a bomb that's about to go off, but backing away from them would have been an insult. And you don't insult a killer's honor and word when you're in their own house. Hadi and I stood as the elevator rose smoothly and quickly. We smoked in silence. I hate fucking elevators. It's like being packed into a small metal box and being forced to be closer to people than you want to be, like crawling in a coffin with folks you don't know. The doors opened into an unmarked room with a single reinforced steel door. "Mr. Silver, can you tell me something before you go?" Ahadi asked. "Sure, maybe." "What were you? NSA? CIA? Something else? MI5? Beijing?" "Beijing? Do I look like a Chinese spook?" I asked, chuckling. "Well, perhaps not a Chinese spook, no. But you are not a normal man, monstrous qualities aside. Either way, I suppose it was a silly question. Nobody would give that information freely. I guess all that is left to do is to wish you luck and give you the name of the bar, where you will find the man who has your girl." I closed my eyes. Breathe in, keep calm, focus on the girl. Breathe out, do the right thing. Breathe in, remember your training and what you know. Breathe out, she needs you. Frank, she's alone. She's scared. She has nothing but fear and the taste of iron in her mouth. And that will not be the last thing she has, goddammit. Give me the name, Ahadi. Firestorm, it's an upscale plate. I know Firestorm. Is he there right now? Did you say he's there? He touched his ear and asked the question to somebody on the other side of his earpiece to make sure. A moment passed. As far as we know, yes. The vehicle is a black sedan, upscale, but just flashy enough to fit his profile, he told me. I heard him writing something down without, looking at it, because I didn't look at him, but I heard a pen on paper. And then he added, "Here is the license plate number." "How do you know he's there?" "Oh, a big money part of the city like that. Everybody has a security system with cameras, and most of them don't secure them so well. We aren't where we are because we don't make use of modern espionage techniques, Mr. Silver. You are not the only one with spy skills." Yeah, no, it made sense. A lot of places had security cameras that could be accessed from a network. A lot of places back their security footage up to off-site servers for the sake of making it impossible for criminals to get away with a crime by destroying the hard drives or tapes. It's cloud-based security, that's what folks called it. Of course, you cut the power and it does no good, but it also makes another link in the chain. You don't need to go on site to patch into camera systems, though, which is another benefit to criminals. If you don't mind a delay, you can get into the servers, maybe intercept the upload. I don't know exactly how it's done. But I know it's hacking above and beyond what I can do myself. Surprising might it be, computers are not exactly my speciality. But Lexa was connected. Money and power can buy you a lot of geeks. I opened my eyes and took the paper and the license plate number. Goodbye, Mr. Ahadi. Give my thanks to Lexa. And I'm sorry your calming drugs were a waste. Send me a bill if you have to. Of course, if I'm dead, you're not going to get paid. With that, I walked to the door and stepped out into the night. A door guard shifted uncomfortably. I ignored him and walked out onto the street, headed for my car. It wasn't going to be a long drive, and I'd have to hit it hard to get out of there within the hour. The arrogant bastard was at a bar, spending a lot of money. He was celebrating, pre-celebrating a victory that wasn't even his, yet egocentric. But he was intelligent, well-prepared, skilled enough to keep his business close to the vest. But his arrogance was going to bring him down. I drove with singular focus, obeyed traffic laws. I took every possible shortcut. I came close to cutting a few red lights, and I made it to the goddamn bar in 41 minutes. I'm coming for you, Melissa. I'm coming to get you, I muttered, to no one in particular.